Welcome back to my channel. I am your favorite mother of three, Bougie Vintage, and today's video is the beginning of the Mistress series. Shall we? I really don't need to go over the cheating scandal, but there may be some new people here, so I'll do the quickest synopsis ever.com. God told me my man is cheating, and if God speaks, I don't have any reason to doubt what he's saying, so I go on a 3-day wild goose chase, do all this investigating, realize, okay, this was not some regular dream. I blow the whole entire scandal wide open, okay? I expose the whole entire thing that then wound me in a extremely dangerous place because I was then threatened. I fled to my mom's house for safety with my 2 children. And then 3 days after the whole entire thing blows up, I then message him while he's at work and I'm like, I'm good on you. Let's just co-parent. I just want to move forward. We could figure out the, ins and outs of how this is gonna look as a separated couple kind of thing. He says no, I fall into the trap and the cycle ends up continuing. So once he says no, we're not breaking up. We end up having a lot of sex. That sex was a little extreme, but pretty much it kept me there even longer because I end up pregnant. So at that point I'm faced with, am I keeping it? Am I not keeping it? Because it was just a horrible situation. So I'm just like, I don't know what to do. So for 7 months I struggle with the pregnancy. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I'm freaking out. I'm praying. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I don't want to bring another baby into this. It's already 2. 3 is crazy. That being said, we were on some false high after the scandal. Oop, now I lost my ring, girl. So after all of that, in order to appease me and hoover me back in successfully, he had to kind of create an okay atmosphere and make me feel comfortable. So I was then going to his workplace again to have food, you know what I mean? Because at that point we had both been humiliated. So some temporary validation was done and then it made on the outside look like everything was a-okay, but really it wasn't. So at that point, I really did not give a single flying F about what anybody thought about me. And, if people thought I was stupid or a clown or dumb, based on the trauma bond that we had, stories untold, okay? I didn't really care what anybody thought about the situation outside of me and God and the person that I was with, because it really was nobody's business. Though I did make it public, it was nobody's business, and I had no control over what anybody was gonna think of me or was thinking of me from me exposing what was going on, being threatened, and then ending up pregnant. It was a lot to deal with, but I was so turned off from the outside noise that I really didn't care what anybody thought. It was something that I had to live with, and that's just what I was gonna do, live with it. So pretty much I had forgiven my husband and I was finna stick beside him, okay? That's my man and I'll go stick beside him. That's pretty much the energy that I was giving, because what choice did I have at that point? I say all that say I was definitely embarrassed, but I had peace about the situation because it was just my truth, There was no hiding it or beating around the bush about it. It was my truth, and that was something I was just going to have to deal with. At that point, of course, I started to hate who I had become because I was officially the girl that stays after her man cheats, which I always said was a deal breaker for me. Why I moved the post, I don't know if it was because I had children. I don't know, if it was the trauma bond. Like I said, stories untold, but you will hear it eventually. I hated who I had become, for sure. There's no question about that, because it was just like, he cheated and that was my deal breaker. But now I'm changing the deal breaker to, there was no penetration. There was no actual event that happened. So I'm gonna look past it. Cause there ain't no extra baby, there's no this and that, but it's just that was just not something I should have looked past, because it went way deeper than that. But at the time, because of the type of abuse that I was faced with prior to that even happening, I wasn't really looking at it like abuse, number one, but I just wasn't fully aware, because my situation is one that really you can't see all of it until you're out of it, until you're on the outside of it, looking back at it. That being said, the stakes were just way too high. So though I hated who I had become, I was gonna sit in it. Now, I actually had my first dream about that situation, I think in December of 2019. It was around Christmas or Boxing Day, I can't remember which one. And I had a dream and I had texted to my sister. And so it was at that point that I felt like something was going to go awry in the marriage, but I didn't know what it was. The dream was very dark and like demonic, and you know, it was a weird dream. But when I had the second dream, I kind of was able to go back and put two and two together and was like, okay, so the warning was there from before. Because I was being appeased and he was validating me temporarily, that meant I was then allowed to go to his workplace, like I said. And this is the first time I met the mistress. Not the mistress that the explosive situation happened in 2020, the mistress that exists now, that is his girlfriend today. So this is the first time I met the mistress. So one day I go to his restaurant and I'm sat there, and usually if I come in, this is what I look like, okay? A stunner girl. Okay, so I'm in there, I'm sitting down, and of course he comes and he sits at the table with me or whatever, and we're just chopping it up. And so because he sat at the table with me, all these waitresses and like bartenders, whoever, are coming to surround the table. They're looking at my nails. I'm telling them I'm a nail tech, all these things, and we're just talking, and they're telling him, oh my God, this is your wife. Like, she's so pretty, she's so hot, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like eating it up. I'm like, can you believe this fool? So they're coming to the table and they're all greeting me and meeting me. And this one in particular was very much like, okay. And so I look at him like, is she okay? I look at him like I just give him this look, like he could read them, and he was like, okay, she's a little intense, you know? And so she's talking to me, and I knew she was a liar this day, because this was happening after the cheating scandal. And so when I meet her, she says to me, oh, so you're Chucky's wife, right? I've heard so many good things about you. When she said that, I knew she was lying. I'm like, oh, this is my exact response to that. I said, oh, really? Because I've been naughty, right? That's what I said. And so I just talked to her for all of 2 minutes, and then she went about her business. And then I turned to Chucky and I'm like, is she okay? And he's like, she's always like that. And I'm like, okay. But she was bouncing off the walls. I said, did she have like 35 espressos? Is she, you know, what's going on? And he's like, that's just how she is. She's always like that. And so I said, oh, okay, cool. That was the end of that. So that was the only time I had met this lady in person. The next time that I would see or hear about her would be in December, I think, of 2021. Now, ironically, when it was March of 2021 and I had gone into labor and I had the baby, out of everybody in the work group chat, the mistress was the only one that was like checking for me. So I had seen a message from the work group chat, and the mistress had, at that time, she wasn't the mistress just yet. I guess, I don't know if he was saying how long I was in labor for or whatever, or like, you know, but she was the only one that was like acknowledging me having to deliver the baby, versus everybody else was just checking for Miss Nola, which is typical and normal. After, when people have babies, people be calling your phone, FaceTiming you, trying to talk to the baby. The baby can't talk, ma'am. They don't even call and be like, hey, how you doing? How was the birth? No, let me see the baby. Okay, it was very much that. So she was the only one in the group chat that acknowledged me and, you know, validated me as a human, as a mother that just pushed a child out of her vagina. Okay, so that was way back in March. And so I never felt any kind of way about this person, though I knew that, you know, he was working closely with her at work. I never felt any kind of way about it because I seen her child. So I was like, you know what I mean? Like, can't hold a candle to me. So I never felt no type of way about her. There was no reason for me to. And so that was the thing too. I don't know if it was a little bit of delusion, but like after the cheating scandal, though my trust was not there, I did not, I wasn't fully like insecure. It's a weird thing. I don't know how to explain it. Only if I felt that my ex was lying or like, you know, being shady, then my guard would be up. But like, I never felt that for a while after that happened. So though my guard was up, it wasn't up to the point where I'm like freaking out and tripping on him every 5 seconds, accusing him of cheating every 5 seconds. Like that was not what happened after the cheating scandal, because I was just like, I really felt like it was an isolated incident. But then when I look back at the situation now, I really have no idea, you know? So March, I have the baby. She's the only one that checks for me in the group chat. And little did I know she was plotting, child. Fast forward a few months and things are getting rocky. Things are just, you know, shifting and a lot is happening at the home. The next time I ended up hearing about her, like I said, wasn't really until the end of 2021. So before December, I started kind of like, is there something fishy going on here? Just based on a few weird incidences that happened. I didn't feel threatened at first, and only because my marriage started to be really on the rocks and I started to really wake up and realize, okay, this is problematic, that that person that I even started looking at the situation sideways. December of 2021, out of nowhere, not really out of nowhere, but there's lots of COVID stuff happening. People are getting sick and they're shutting restaurants down. They're shutting down establishments, blah, 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 blah. Well, one day, it was it his day off? I think it was his day off. And he was sat there eating food by the fireplace and acting like it's freezing cold in the house. And I'm like, it's not cold. It's the same temperature it always is. And he's usually wearing the least amount of clothes, you know, in the house. And he's usually not cold. And so I said, you better not be sick. You better not be sick. He sat there by the fireplace eating food, and I'm looking at him absolutely crazy, especially because I'm always cold, and I was wearing like shorts and like a tank top and I wasn't cold. And I'm like, no. You need to go get you a COVID test. Go get upstairs right now. Like go in the spare bedroom, lock yourself in there because we are not getting sick because of you, sir. Okay. He does just that. He comes upstairs. I end up having to run to the store. At that time, I was charged $50 for 2 rapid tests at the pharmacy, and everywhere didn't have the test. So I had to run out to go get the test. So I go out, I spend $50. Then I find out that other places are giving them out for free. I'm like, I'm tired of being bamboozled. So I go get the test. I bring them back. He does the test. He finds out it's positive. He finds out it's positive. He has to stay up in the room and quarantine for what was supposed to be, I think, 10 days. At this point, because they worked so closely together, she was at the restaurant running around like a goose with her head cut off because there were so many people that were calling in sick and saying that they had COVID. Now, this is when he had brought her up to me and referred to her as his little rat, his little snitch. I kind of side-eyed it because there was a possession there. And I was like, my little rat? My little snitch? And so that's when I really started to look a little deeper, and my, oh my, did I find what the F I was looking for.